Yes, people, how you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I am Sean Butler, joined today for the moment with Adam William Cahill. There may be some other people that are coming in. We got to talk a lot, about what the hell is going on with Liverpool. Liverpool fans, the Liverpool manager, the hypocrisy. It's an embarrassment. Klopp's press conference is currently taking place. They're obviously playing, I think it's a press conference or it's something. It must be for their Europa League game tomorrow night. They're doing the early presser on it. And I can't believe it. I'm absolutely flabbergasted that this man of all men, had the audacity to shamelessly suggest that a replay is the only reasonable and fair outcome. There's so much to talk about that game. There's also other things I want to bring up. Before we get into any of that, I want to say, guys, apologies for the inadequate amount of content that I've been putting out over the last kind of week and a half. Apart from game days, I try and get all the fan cams and stuff up to catch up a little bit. But I've been riddled with a bug, and it's been like 2-3 waves, like a tsunami. The first one I thought I was done with, but then it caught me again afterwards, and I feel like I'm on the tail end of it now. I'm also trying to eat and take in less poison into my body to help other things work itself out. So I really hope that I'm back. I'm feeling a little bit better until I see things like this today, and it really winds me up. Adam, you are going to help me get through this. I'm going to say hello to you first, then I'm going to say hello to people in the comments. Adam, how are you, mate? How are you?
I am doing okay, man, all things considered. So I've had an absolute, obviously, but people who have felt my absence over the last month. I've been making films and stuff like that, as I am prone to do. I've been in the middle of shooting a proof of concept for my next feature film, so we got that done, and it was one of the most stressful ordeals I've ever gone through in my life, albeit exciting and wonderful and everything. It was just like I'm operating on a different level to what I'm used to now, and it was really intense. And I was really much like yourself, mate. I had a dose at one stage leading up to it, and I was like, "Oh, am I going to be sick going into the shoot?" I took a COVID test to make sure that I was okay, and that was fine. So that okay, I'll grant just vitamin C, the absolute crap out of myself. Gratefully I was all right by the time the shoot came around. So it's been up and down, roller coasters all over the place, but delighted to have been able to take in the games in the meantime. But like, what a game that was over the weekend. Absolute chaos, and the aftermath is no less exciting / infuriating. So yeah, I'm definitely eager and interested now to get stuck into this stuff with Klopp, because there's very few bigger whinge bags. I don't think there is a greater whinge bag in football than Jurgen Klopp, man. This is absolutely insane.
100%, mate. And we're going to talk about that in a second. It's good to have you back, mate. I'm excited for your exciting career next levels and things, mate. I definitely want to hear more about that after the stream as well. Before we get into it, let me just quickly run through and say hello to everybody. Let me say hello to Spencer, straight out of the hat, is saying, did he really ask us? He did. We're going to go through it in a minute. Spurs says Louis could sue the Premier League if the Premier League sanctioned a replay. Yeah, I'm not even sure. Maybe you're right, mate. I don't even know how this is even going to work. I think I would imagine that there's still very little chance, but we've been listening to it all week from the salty Liverpool fans. I'm dehydrated from the amount of salty water I've been drinking in those tears for Liverpool fans. I didn't think any of them were actually serious. I thought they were just children, like 12-year-olds who were saying that they wanted a replay. But for their actual manager to come out and say the same thing, it's embarrassing. And I mean, what a precedent it would set. And we're going to talk about that. Ryan Mud FC is absolutely spot on to say Sissoko's licking his lips right now. Replay the Champions League final. 100%. Where do you go? Where do you start? Where do you stop? What's the I mean, it's absolutely bonkers. We have to talk about it. George is in the house. Klopp needs to train his players not to get red cards instead. 100%, mate. This is me saying, smash the likes, people. You know the rules. There's 250 odd people in the house already. It's an amazing thing to see at such an impromptu show at 2:00 on a Wednesday. Smash the like button for me. If you haven't already, smash the subscribe. We're on the march to 20K. We're about, 1,600 people away. So we'll make a little dent today, hopefully, if some of you guys can help us out a little bit. Let me see who else I've got to say hello to on here. Louis in the house. Georgie boy, Klopp is a hypocrite. He has a short memory. I'm sure he's benefited from bad decisions by it. I'm sure he has, mate. Liverpool have benefited more from VAR than any other football club since its inception. in terms of over. It doesn't mean that they benefited necessarily from terrible decisions, although there are one or two standouts, even in the Tottenham Liverpool encounters. And we're going to talk about one of those where he absolutely is the hypocrite for what he said to Ryan Mason after last season's 4-3 loss, when Diego Jota should have been off the pitch for essentially doing for those who are old enough to remember, Hulk Hogan used to wipe people out with a boot to the head. And that was his sort of finishing move. And before he did the leg drop. And this is that particular Diego Jota moment was very similar. And you know what? He stayed on the pitch, went on to score the winner. And that point that we dropped in that game, or the 2 points we dropped in that game, cost us a place in Europe. But where was the energy? Where was the energy? We'll talk about it in a second. Let me see who else I've got. I'm not going to have time to get through everybody, but it's good to see you, Steve. Chris Agomba's in the house as well. What's happening, Chris? Good to see you, mate. Your sentiments are shared here. Slim Boy Tubbs is here as well. If it turned out Liverpool voted against the introduction of semi-auto VAR, let's get the audio on that, shall we? Let's get the audio. Luke's in the house before, beyond sick of hearing about Liverpool. Same. But we have to talk about it a little bit. Who else we got? KK, Lee Savage. Good to see you. Good to see you. PH families. Good to see you, mate. Steve J, Louis. Done Louis. Who else haven't I done? Jay's in the house. What's happening, Jay? Good to see you. Stephen Flynn, Foggy Foam, Jack Luca, Moondog. Good to see you, mate. One of the members, George Carderas is in the house as well. Daniela Zitto, good to see you. Future's Bright, Future's Lily White, good to see you. Good to see you. Ross Carson, Murphy, Simon Curry, 3 for all. We got a load of people in the house. Right, I'm going to get straight into it, guys. Take your shoes off, hit the like button. We got a super chat straight out of the bat from Shankle. Appreciate you, Shankle. The sheer audacity. It's incredible. It's actually incredible that I'd understand it if certain managers kept the same energy, if they've always been in like calling out things when luck goes their way. I'd understand it a little bit. I still think it's an outrageous suggestion. We're going to get to it. But him specifically,
it's not surprising though in the slightest, given the kind of guy that he is. It's audacity, but it's not surprising.
100%. 100%. Moondog's here. Liverpool, a member for 15 months. Liverpool think they're entitled. Klopp is a clown. 100%, mate. Right. Good afternoon, everybody. I want to get into it. There's 300 people in the house. Let's start with the actual. Let me get rid of my branding for a second so I can show you guys this. Let us see the Jurgen Klopp calls for Liverpool statement. So, how do I get? Where's the start of it? Oh, this is the updated thing, isn't it? Jurgen Klopp has called for a Tottenham Liverpool to be replayed. As a football person, the outcome should be a replay, says the Liverpool boss. The situation is unprecedented. That's why I think the replay is the right thing. Trent Alexander-Arnold just before that had said, we can't control the VAR system as players. We just hope that they get the decisions right as much as possible. Liverpool manager said he's not angry with any of the VAR, that the referees or whatever. He said, as far as I can remember, something like this has never happened. That's why I think a replay should be played. I'm not angry with any of them, not at all. We should not go for them. They made a mistake, and I'm sure they felt horrible that night. That is enough for me. And we should discuss it without emotions. It's enough, is it? Then why are you asking for a replay? It's absolute bonkers. He said, I'm 56 years old. I've been a long time in football. I do not always deal well with it, but I am used to wrong decisions. But something like that, as far as I can remember, has never happened. That is why I think a replay would be the right thing. So if it happened again, that is why I think a replay would be the right thing to do. Let me just ask you, mate, do you remember was it Wolves against Liverpool in the Cup last year? I'm not sure if it was the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup, but I'm pretty sure Wolves scored a legitimate goal. But it was ruled. Let me know in the comments, guys, if I'm talking about a wrong game here. But I'm pretty sure Wolves had a legitimate goal chalked off because they couldn't see I think they thought that the corner kick taker was offside, but because they couldn't see him on the camera angle was all wrong. That Liverpool had a goal chalked off, or sorry, Wolves had a goal chalked off literally against Liverpool because of a mistake by the VAR? Let me know in the comments. Is that Adam? Do you remember that game?
No, I don't recall.
I'm sure it was last season. I'm sure it was last season.
I watch very few games these days outside of the Spurs games, so I don't recall. But I think the people are blowing it way out of proportion, saying that like again it's sensationalism when people are saying like it's the most egregious thing that's ever happened. Nothing's ever like this has ever happened before, and all that kind of stuff. It's just sensationalism. It's to kind of to make it bigger than it is, to try and get some sort of compensation in some way, and clearly he's looking for it in the form of a replay, which is just outrageous. Tottenham did nothing wrong at the end of the day. I mean, you cannot penalize Tottenham for a mistake that VAR made, especially when you cannot guarantee that the outcome would have been any different. At the end of the day, if like they still had, before that first goal was disallowed, they had already had a player sent off, so they were already down to 10 men. So if they want to turn around and say, oh, we definitely would have gone on and won that match. It's like, what are you talking about? You were down to 10 men. You were on the back foot. We had 65% possession of it by the end of the game. We were absolutely dominating you. Like, it doesn't make any sense. If there was any, legitimate kind of call for the game would have gone completely another way, then you could have more of an argument. But the fact of the matter is there's nothing to show that would have gone any differently. Yes, you don't know what would have happened, but you can't say conclusively that they would have won the game otherwise. So it's just insane.
Let me ask you this, right? So, I've got a bunch of Liverpool fans that are really good friends of mine, or a bunch of friends that are massive Liverpool fans. I've been arguing with them. They say that I've got my Tottenham bias on. I think they've got their Liverpool bias on. There's no disagreement with regards the craziness of the fact that the goal was disallowed. The fact that the referees couldn't delay the game, unfortunately, was part of the rules of the game, right? The VAR, they saw the mistake, the game had restarted, and the VAR guy, if you heard the audio, said, there's nothing that we can do. The game's restarted. That might be a problem within the law of the game. To think that, again, like, unfortunately, that's the rules of the game. If you're going to say that the rules are stupid and that consequently we should have to replay a game, then you could make the same argument for the Sissoko handball that happened in the Champions League final. But technically, the rule at the time was that if your hand is doing that and it hits you there and then it rolls down your arm a little bit, then technically, like, even though the rule has now subsequently changed to make that wouldn't have been a red card now. But if you're saying that the rule is stupid after the fact, and on that basis, the goal shouldn't have stood, or we should replay the game, there's absolutely no logic to that, because you'd have to go back and rewrite 1,000 games ad nauseum in the past, which you can't do. He also goes on to say, though, let me get the thing back up here. He goes on to say, on the Curtis Jones red card, what made this day really difficult? We talk about the process of VAR, but in this game, there was another situation where Curtis got a red card that I don't think was a red card. I think it was a clear and obvious error. Like, what's a clear and obvious error? Like, the referee made the decision that it was a yellow card, and the VAR have to make a determine if the referee has made a clear and obvious error. That you don't get a second clear and obvious error based on the VAR making a clear and obvious error. Like, I think he's confusing the lingo. He says the ref's decision was yellow, but the mistake was showing him the first pick in slow motion. So that is it. I've already had this argument with people on WhatsApp today. I've got the Casemiro VAR up when Casemiro got sent off for a very similar sliding tackle last year for Manchester United that kind of set the precedent of when you get the ball, but you roll over the top and then you end up going through the shin. Like, these Liverpool fans say it's against the protocol to show the impact before you show the replay, which again might be a mistake, but ultimately you're going to still see the point of impact at some point. And they're making the argument that had it not been for that, had it not been for the very first thing that the referee saw on the monitor being the moment of impact, that the referee would have overruled the VAR. Adam, how many times have you seen the referee been asked to go to the monitor when being told in his ear, think you've made a clear and obvious error, and then the referee look at the monitor and then say, nah, I'm happy with my decision?
Yeah, very, very rare. I think that, like, it's another one of those unfortunate things for us where we have to listen to this nonsense, in the sense that, like, yes, I'm massively against VAR, using still frames, and using slow motion. I think the game is played in real time. Things in slow motion can look completely different than they do in real time. I think the replay should always be done in real time for the referee. That being said, if you watching it in real time, you give the exact same red card. It's a clear and absolute, like, it's a possible leg breaker of a tackle. Do you know what I mean? So there's no, like, it's a red all day long. So they can give out about, it's unfortunate for us now that they have that ammunition, or that they showed the still frame that's a really ugly still frame first, and that's why the ref made his decision. Nonsense, absolute nonsense, because it's a red all day long, every day and twice on Sunday. So like,
he then goes on to say, on top of that, Diogo Jota got 2 yellow cards for not touching a player once. I mean, that's just a lie. That's just a flat out lie. The first one, Diogo Jota clips the back heel of Udogie, that then forces Udogie's foot to then land on Udogie's other landing foot calf, which sends him over, which it might be an accident, but it's still a foul. And it was his third foul. Whether or not it's a yellow card is, hit by the by. It was a yellow card was given, which could have been because of that one incident, but I'm pretty sure Jota was already on his third foul. So
he was pushing
the referee, you don't know the reason why the ref gave the decision. It might have been accumulation of fouls, or it might have been that he thought it was a bad tackle and he slowed down the player. The player was breaking away. In any event, he gets the yellow. It's on Diogo Jota then to not make a silly mistake 30 seconds later, which he does. And for Klopp to sit there and say that there was no contact on the second tackle, that again is just a lie, isn't it?
Bullshit. Absolutely 100% of a lie. Look, the thing is that there were a number of, as you said, it was already his third foul by the time he got that yellow card. So even if it was a soft yellow, you could have given him a yellow for the previous fouls, because there was definitely the foul just before that one that he got nothing for. You could have given a yellow for that easily, right? And then the second, so like he would have been like, realistically, he should have been on a yellow by the time he got the second yellow anyway. Like, to be fair, he was just really, really pushing his luck. And second of all, as a professional athlete, he knows he's on a yellow, regardless of whether or not it was deserved or not. He knows he's on a yellow, and yet he does what he does to Basuma for that second yellow. That's just, you're asking to be booked. It makes no odds one way or the other whether you want to make the argument that he shouldn't have got the first yellow. He's on a yellow, and he goes ahead and does something like that. Doesn't go anywhere near the ball, just completely cleans Basuma out. You cannot make the argument that the man didn't deserve a red. He's on a yellow, and he's willfully begging the referee for another one, essentially. Do you know what I mean? So, and again, like there were several tackles, there were several fouls ahead of the first one for yellow that he got, where he could have got a yellow for those as well. The guy was being completely and utterly reckless. The red, like, whatever you want, absolutely every Spurs fan with any sense will concede that the Diaz goal should have stood, but it was to be going on and on about the red cards. Like, I'm sorry, you're trying to make something out of nothing, because the red cards were absolutely deserved, both.
You know what I'm going to find hilarious? A lot of the Liverpool fans that I know and friends from the community online, they're all saying no. Like, all the last 2 days, I'm like, I can't believe your fans are asking for a replay. And all the people whose opinions I do respect, and who they may come at it from a slightly red tinted kind of lens, but they're still trying to come at it somewhat objectively, somewhat balanced. They're all saying there's not a single person, not a single grown-up, adult, mature Liverpool fan who realistically thinks there's a chance of a replay. And then 24 hours later, their manager asks for a replay.
Yeah.
I've
got Liverpool fans in my family. My brother's a Liverpool fan. My uncle is a Liverpool fan. And the fact that, they're even turning around and saying, yeah, look, a replay is nonsensical. You cannot blame Tottenham. But we did nothing wrong. Right? Absolutely nothing wrong. Spurs weren't dirty, weren't doing anything underhanded. It was completely down to a referee decision that Liverpool are up in arms. You cannot give a replay. The match is what it is. You have to just accept that and lump it. And to be acting like spoiled children and throwing your bottle out of the pram now, like, you cannot do. Like, it's just, if it would be a much, much, much bigger scandal for there to be a replay. It really would. It would be a much bigger scandal for there to be a replay, because it's not justified.
So according to Let me just get back one here. Klopp also says on his side's display in defeat at Spurs, I saw a wonderful team fighting against all odds in an incredibly fair way. I don't know how we got 8 cards altogether. That is what we take out of it. We didn't get the points, but all the rest we can use. And that is what we will do, but not out of anger. Look, I mean, I think Liverpool did play really, really well on the day. I think that they did defend like beavers. I think they've got a brilliant team. I thought, against 11 men, I thought Tottenham were at their best against 11 men. Liverpool are a brilliant team who punish people's mistakes. They counter fantastically well. Against 10 men, Liverpool don't change their system. They're still going to punish you if they get the chance on the counter-attack with the amount of incredible talent they have up front. But I think that Tottenham was still in charge. Against 9 men, obviously after that, it was going to be a one-way tide or flow of possession. But Tottenham, for what, I think that Tottenham are really struggling with the dearth of creativity when Maddison and Sonny come off. And we're going to have to talk about Sonny in a minute because there's a little video knocking about with him looking in agony when he comes off the pitch. So we'll talk about that in a second. But just to carry on with this narrative for a second. So what happens now, given Liverpool spoke about escalation and resolution in their club statement on Sunday night, it remains to be seen whether the club follow their manager's lead in making a formal call for the game to be replayed. However, it was reported on Monday that the Premier League would not even consider ordering a replay. Before we get to the kind of consequences of a replay and what sort of precedent that would set, what do you think that they were trying to, in terms of the VAR audio, people coming out saying, oh, it's worse than I thought, it's so bad, it's a disgrace. I'm not entirely sure what people were expecting to hear, Adam, other than something similar to what you heard. You knew that they would have realized their mistake at some point, but that the rule was there in place that you couldn't stop the game. That's just a rule of the game. You would were they expecting there to be something egregious to the tune of, oh, it's a clear goal, but look, it's Liverpool, let's screw them over? What is it that they were expecting to hear other than some sort of calamitous communication, some sort of, oh no, what have we done? It's too late. We're going to have to, wear this one. I don't know what other sort of narrative was going to emerge from listening to the audio. And do you think that now they've set the precedent of every time there's a contentious VAR decision that you can, every team can request the audio for every single incident? And if so, is that going to create more problems on the VAR in the future or less?
I think that we can't argue against or in favor of VAR or say that they were doing their job well. At the absolute best, it's really, really poor professionalism, absolutely diabolically. They shot the bed. Let's be fair, right? So. At best, at worst, there was corruption involved, and there's a lot of conversation around the two of the guys who were doing VAR had just come back from the UAE or whatever it was, and they're talking about how there's a possibility that those guys had been paid off by Man City to, it's essentially it's corruption as opposed to grievous error. It's no matter what we heard. Unless you were literally hearing people saying, no, don't do anything. This is great. Fantastic, lads. Look, this is exactly what we wanted. There was nothing that you were going to hear that you were going to get a definitive. We don't know. We all we're doing is speculating based on audio. We can't even see in the room. So it's if someone goes ahead and does a really in-depth investigation and finds that there was corruption, then something should be done about the corruption. But otherwise, we should definitely be holding VAR to a higher standard. I don't like the way that it's used. I still don't like that it's in the game at all, to be honest. I think it was better when it came down to just human error on the pitch. If there were mistakes made by the linesman, then it's it is what it is. You could accept human error. It's very, very difficult to accept when people are stopping the game, going back to the recording, drawing lines, and still effing it up. That is much more difficult.
Hasn't it been proven in the previous 3 or 4 years? I haven't got the data to back this up, but I'm pretty sure I've seen loads of articles, one article every year at the end of the season that says, here's the table with VAR, here's the table without it. and the difference is largely irrelevant, apart from a couple of outliers that might. But there's never been a team that would have won the league without it, right? Or with it. And there's never been a team that would or wouldn't have been relegated with or without the benefit of VAR. Obviously, you can point to Tottenham and say if Jota gets the red card last season, then we'd be in Europe this year because we would have got an extra 1 point, right, from that game. We would have drawn it rather than the loss. And that would have got us into the Conference League ahead of Aston Villa. But generally speaking, there's not a massive differential. And when you factor in all of the negatives of VAR, the inability to celebrate a goal ever, like at the match, right? Also, the lack of transparency. People in the stadium had no idea. I came out after I did my fan cams after the game. I had absolutely no idea that any of this had happened. I was sitting there, and nobody else did either. I was interviewing people going like, I mean, Sim, bless him, from We Are Tottenham TV, he came over to me. He was supposed to do a fan cam, but he had to go in the end. He said, I think we were lucky on the day. And I was like, what, lucky because we couldn't break down 9 men? And he was like, yeah, I think so. Yeah. But that was like the first person that intimated that we were lucky on the day, but that wasn't because he knew about the offside. As far as all the Liverpool fans looking at Tottenham celebrating in the stadium afterwards, we were celebrating a win that we thought was absolutely legit, absolutely flawless in terms of we had nothing. Like, if people in the stadium have no idea what's going on, then again, I'll come back to your point, Adam. Is VAR worth it? Certainly not in its current guise, but like, you can't celebrate any goals. You never really know what's going on, and there's mistakes that are being made anyway. And all you're doing is shifting the responsibility or the accountability from the guy on the pitch to people in a box somewhere else in London.
Yeah, absolutely. And considering it's been what is it, 4 years that we've had VAR, and the changes and the modifications and the supposed improvements have been so negligible. We should have this system under wraps at this stage. It should be completely and utterly, sewn up. So if it's been that difficult to get it right, it's not worth it. It's absolutely not worth it whatsoever. I don't understand what they expect to be done. And then one of the big things is, to get back to your initial question, is like, what are we going to do? We're changing the rules and moving the goalposts to the degree where, like, our replay is going to start becoming the norm in those kind of situations. And then you're putting players in even more dangerous situations, because not only have they got even more games to play, when we're already talking about there's too many games in a season, right? I'm already pissed off that we have a Luton game and then we've got another international break. F off. I'm done with that. I'm so sick of this nonsense. So we've got too many games as it is.
And another one in November as well.
Right, madness. And then then you're saying let's add replays, which would become very, very regular if VAR f's up this much, because like fair enough, the one against Liverpool was fairly intense and extreme, but they'll start calling for replays all the time if it becomes possible for that to happen. Then you've got more games being played again, and if you go into a replay feeling hard done by, the team who has to, like Tottenham, for example, if we had to suffer a replay, even though we did nothing wrong, we're going to go into that game pissed. Liverpool are going to go into the game thinking we're not going to lose this again. It's going to end up being a dogfight, and you'll end up with more injuries. Like, the concept is insane. If VAR is causing this kind of problem, replays is not the way to do it. Get rid of VAR is the way you solve the problem.
Yeah, I mean, or make amends, or like make some resolutions to it, which we can talk about, because there are some options out there around. You mentioned one someone mentioned one, I think, in the comments about semi-automated offsides, where you got the technology. In the World Cup, it seemed to work really well. For me, I just think that, listening to the audio, it came across to me like the referees were rushing to check. They seemed like they were in a real super hurry to get through the process, maybe because the pressure is on them to not take unnecessary time to delay the game. And obviously, they weren't paying attention. If there's a process to tick boxes of what is the onside on the on-field discussion, and then go through the process after that, whatever. But in any event, like, there is a trade-off. If you want perfection, it's not going to come without delays to the game. I don't think you're ever going to get perfection, and so it's at what cost are you willing to get as close to it as possible? And should that come at the expense of destroying the experience of a match-going fan? Which I think VAR in its current guise does. Let me get through a couple of these super chats, Adam, and then we'll carry on with the show. On your bike, Scott. Good to see you. Good to see you, mate. On the on your bike, Scott. Scotty did one of the interviews. We had no idea, did we, Scott, at the time? He's saying let's replay the Champions League final. Then he's having a laugh. Get him some tissues. I know. Well, this is the other thing we are going to have to talk about. That if you are going to start doing replays, at what point does that, on what terms? How often does it happen? Does it only happen if there's a complete error? Do you restart the game? If you restart the game from 0-0, 11 against 11, people were saying do it behind closed doors? What? So suddenly Tottenham are at a disadvantage that we lose the home we lose the home fans because that's the only way that you can get it done without destroying policing. Like all the other things that come with the consequences of putting on a match day. It's nonsense, absolute nonsense. Appreciate your super chat, Scotty. In a coma, member for 1 month. Big up in a coma. Good to see you, mate. Love the name. And should tuck Klopp up into bed tonight. Hello, mate. I love that. Yeah, hello, mate.
Good night, mate.
Put it on every single meme. We appreciate your support in a coma. Martin Knightsbridge is in the house saying their next game, the refs will be scared to make decisions against them. The lid can't go back on this now. This will spiral out of control. Adam, great point from Martin here, right?
Also true.
Is a lot of this noise from Liverpool a leverage tactic to try to make sure that there will be a rebalancing of the pendulum, like this, it will shift the other way, so that again, whoever they're playing next, I think they've got Brighton, another 6-pointer away. I think it's at the Amex on the weekend. Are they looking to make sure that if there is any contentious decisions on Saturday, that Liverpool get the rub of the green? Is that what this is all really about? Make as much noise as you can now so that you get as many of the decisions to go your way for as long as possible?
I don't think that's the tactic. I think that will be the ramification, though, because I think ultimately they're just complaining that they want something done about having lost 3 points the weekend gone. I don't think it's about trying to make sure that they have an advantage going into the next one, but the result will be that they will have an advantage. No one's going to want to see Liverpool have the same thing happen to them. They're going to want to see Liverpool calm down as a result of the mistake that was made, so that they can get past the issue and just put it to bed. If Liverpool end up in a situation where they feel like they're hard done by again, it's only going to cause even more chaos for the PFL. So like it's I don't think that that Liverpool, the club or the fans are trying to gain an advantage in the next game, but they will get it anyway. I think what they're trying to do is just get something out of the last game. I don't like it's insane that they're thinking replay is a possibility. I don't know what else they can possibly demand, though. Like they have to just suck it up and move on. Like these things happen all the time. Teams are conned out of points, a number of times in the season. Like it's just they've got to stop being children in this instance. Honestly, yeah, there was a mistake made. Yeah, there was a possibility of them doing a bit better than they did, but let's be fair, they didn't perform well enough to deserve 3 points anyway. I don't understand where, if like with all due respect to Sim saying we were lucky, I don't think we were lucky. I don't think we were fortunate. We outplayed Liverpool in that game. Liverpool were really, really good. Don't get me wrong. It's not like we destroyed them, but we were the better team. We were absolutely the better team.
Isn't part of playing well finding a way to keep 11 players on your pitch?
Yeah, look, this is the thing as well. Like the 2 red cards were legitimate, so they effed up their own situation. Just because they had it, because they would have had would have been the first ones to score, doesn't mean they would have come away with a victory. It doesn't even mean 100%. They'd have come away with a draw. We outperformed them as far as I'm concerned, especially when there was nothing they could do when they were down to 9 men except just deal with the onslaught, which ultimately they weren't able to do anyway. So.
I agree. And that's why people like Mark Goldbridge, who's a big popular YouTuber. I like listening to his stuff, but his take on this was incredible. The way he was just making this assumption that that Liverpool had guaranteed at least a point, if not all 3 stolen from them. I was flabbergasted he would make that assumption.
Especially as a United fan.
Yeah, well, exactly. But I think he was probably taking the opportunity to look like he was being balanced. But for me, like, I feel like you have to remember, like, even if the goal did stand, you're 1-0 up against 10 men. or sorry, we were 1-0 down against 10 men. They would have 10 men. They'd still have to naturally hang on. And
would we have just sat back if we were in a deficit? If we were in a goal deficit, would we have just sat back and done nothing? No, we'd have launched at them, and they're down to 10 men. And then, you know, Jota came on and played like a plank, so it could have easily gone down to 9 in that instance anyway. We'll never know. We'll never know. It turned out the way it turned out. They have to just accept it. Is it more difficult for them to accept that they were hard done by in the middle of one Premier League game, or more difficult for us to accept that we were hard done by in a Champions League final? You got your karma.
And also part of this narrative that Tottenham are scraping through because it's last-minute goals that get you the points, which is another thing.
That's what they say champions are made of, for fuck's sake.
100%. If it was Arsenal or Manchester City that were doing it, they'd say, "Look at the mentality. Look at the monster leadership. Look at the strength of these guys that they play to the final." When Tottenham do it, it's, "Oh, you were lucky there to get in the last minute." No, sorry, is there 90 minutes or 100 minutes in the game of football, or is there not? What difference does it make whether you score in the last minute or the first, as long as you get the result? It's just the bias in the conversation is, to me, it's clear that especially the mainstream media who want Liverpool, United, Arsenal, City. They want the traditional top four because they know they're the most supported clubs, and they're the ones that get the most clicks, the most attention, and the most kind of rival fans paying their
Which is
streams.
When you think about it. It's ludicrous when you think about it. The Premier League, as much as Man City are running riot in the number 1 spot, the number 2 to number 10 spots are the most interesting that they've ever been, because you have no idea what order things are going to turn out in. Aston Villa could finish second this year. We have absolutely no idea. It's never been more exciting. If Man City were knocked off their perch, it would be amazing to see that many teams in circulation constantly changing in the top 10. You know what I mean? Where it used to be just always United Arsenal for years, then United Liverpool for years, United Chelsea for years. You know, and like, so they're really pushing things to be a specific way. The fans for all the different clubs will start growing if we see a more diverse top 10. Like, you know, so it doesn't make any sense. And when you think about, like, I can't remember what I was watching the other day. Someone was talking about how Manchester United, the only reason that they're the team that they are today is because when the Premier League first became the Premier League, like when it was rebranded as this new elite best league in the world, and when Sky Sports became the big dogs, you know, it wasn't BBC anymore. Sky Sports came in. They were this elite new presenter of the Premier League. United were the poster boys of the Premier League at the time, right? And that's the only reason that they have this massive brand, because they were the poster boys of the Premier League for a significant amount of time. They're falling away now. They're rotting because they haven't got the infrastructure that they used to have. They're letting things fall away. The Glazers are sucking the place dry. It's not the club that it was. So to try and kind of be pushing United back to the top rather than letting teams like Tottenham, who are getting better and better and better. You know, our infrastructure is only growing. Say what you want about Levy. He's done amazing things with the business. We've got an outstanding manager now and a team that is probably better than any team we've had. You know, like, you should.
We're getting there. Yeah, the first 11's up there. Obviously, the squad needs some work, but we've got amazing kids coming through. We're a couple of transfer windows, some solid decision making, consistently good decision making, because we do 2 or 3 good things and then 2 or 3 terrible things, and you know, so obviously the roller coaster. But if we can get the next 18 months bang on, if we can make 90% good decisions, then Tottenham are there or thereabouts, in my opinion. Yeah.
Absolutely, we will be title contenders, and if we continue on the trajectory we're going at this moment, we'll be title contenders in no time. And that's not bias; that's just fact. And United are slipping away. Chelsea are slipping away. So let them slip away. Let's stop this narrative of these guys need to be at the top.
But the mainstream media look for eyes on their various media outlets, and they know that Brighton, as great a club as they are, and it's interesting. I'm sure Brighton have got more 7 and 8-year-olds or 6-year-olds who are, you know, figuring out which team that they want to support, who aren't going to listen to their dad or whatever. I'm sure that Brighton have got a real, like, healthy amount of exciting youth coming through. Newcastle are always going to be that one club city thing. There's probably Newcastle don't really have that many fans from elsewhere. Maybe that will change in the future if they continue to grow. And look, but Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal, like those traditional clubs have got more supporters generally. And so, I get it as a businessman. I totally understand why they want to push the narratives that they do. But I also think that you lose your credibility a little bit when you say one thing one week that fits one narrative and you don't hold that same energy when the same thing happens to a smaller team the week after. This would never, this furore would never have happened to the same volume if it had happened to West Ham or if it had happened to Brighton. Or even if it happened to Tottenham, we would never get the same attention that Liverpool get, or that if it happened to Man United, then I think the same thing would happen again. It would be the same level of crazy. And I get it from their fans' perspective. They've done nothing wrong, and in terms of the goal, right? The goal is egregious.
But only in terms of the goal. That's a really important qualification, though, Sean.
It's just the goal. The rest of it is interpretation from the referee.
Yeah.
Well, but look, but like you could make the argument that they weren't yellow cards or they were, but the referee has landed on the fact that they were. You see them given, you see them haven't been given. Like you get it. That's just the rub of the green. The one obvious, clear-cut, determined error was the goal, but that was it. And it was 30 minutes into a game where the team that would have scored were down to 10 men. To make this assumption that Liverpool deserve a replay is bonkers. But anyway, someone is saying in the comments that it's already been dismissed. So. But we'll carry on. We'll carry on going through some of these super chats. Chankle here, big up, Chankle. Good to see you, mate. He says if Klopp had any actual integrity, he'd be calling to get rid of VAR. Instead, he's crying and lying for a replay that would break the Prem. I think if they're already dismissing this as a non-starter, then that's a good thing because not just as a Tottenham fan, but just generally, where do you draw the line in the future? Do you draw the line for the next time that a camera failed, that didn't pick up, like in the game with Wolves, where the camera didn't pick up the defender or the player in the corner? There's always going to be something where there's mistakes are always going to happen. Yeah. But, it is what it is. Appreciate your super chat, Chankle. Drew Zilla, member for 3 months. Great to see you guys. Big up the Spurs Talk Show. Big up, Drew. Good to see you, mate. I really appreciate your ongoing support, my man. Mia's also in the house, member for 2 months. Big up, Mia. What should happen is all decisions checked for 90 seconds. If nothing wrong, go with the ref. If there is, the ref has a look. Klopp is a crybaby. The problem with that, see, I initially thought they should just change the rule, Mia. I initially thought, because the problem here was that the decision was made incorrectly, and then as soon as the game restarted, they couldn't delay the game anymore. That was the problem with the rule. So I was like, well, just change the rule to say that if there has been an error, it's picked up relatively quickly. You just blow the whistle and then say, sorry, you've made a mistake, and make the right call. But the problem is what happens in the time between the whistle being blown to restart. Like if Tottenham get that ball from the offside, go down the other end and immediately score a goal, and then the refs, the VAR, realize they've made a mistake and say, oh, actually, sorry, not only can we not award Tottenham their goal, but we also have to give Liverpool their goal, there would be uproar, wouldn't there, Adam?
Yeah, yeah. You can't. I don't understand how there's the idea for retroactively changing the game. When has that ever happened in football? It doesn't make any sense to be like we can go back and fix this and fix that. It's like, no, it's over. It's done. We've accepted when we've been had done by in the past, and I just move on from those decisions. It's like Americanka put a comment there saying it's going to get overruled, so everyone needs to calm down. It's like that's not really the point. The point is we need to call Klopp out on his bullshit. It's hypocrisy. He needs to get called out for that. He's lying. He needs to get called out for that. And just this is another kind of a chip at a wall. Do you know what I mean? So even though it's it's just another chip at trying to kind of make something happen that will destroy the game. If this happens again in the future, Klopp's comments are just one more argument in favor of doing something that would be Pandora's box. You know what I mean? You're once you open it, you won't be able to put the lid back on again. This kind of stuff needs to be called out for what it is.
Here's the area of hypocrisy, Adam, that really riled me up. Just so people don't think I'm making it up. This was after we lost 4-3 tail end of last season. Jurgen Klopp, this is from the BBC. Jurgen Klopp was not the only manager furious with the officials at Anfield, with Tottenham interim boss Ryan Mason also livid. Match winner Diego Jota was fortunate to only be booked for a high boot that cut Oliver Skipp's face in the 81st minute, and Mason called for answers. I need an explanation, he told BBC Sport. I want to know why the referee on the pitch didn't see it, but also why an experienced one in the VAR room can't. Honestly, it's probably the clearest red card you will see on the football pitch. It's endangered the opponent. Skip needs stitches, and Jota has scored the goal when he shouldn't be on the pitch. Yeah. Jurgen Klopp was not sympathetic to Mason's views, despite his own criticism of the referee. I understand that. Ryan has to worry about other stuff. They can't just counter-attack. They have to play better football with that team. Blah, blah, blah. Like, that's the thing that annoys me. Right? He doesn't have the same energy. But for him to come out and say, it would be one thing if he said, worry about other stuff, and then after this game, turn around and say, you know, it is what it is. We got to worry about bigger things. You know, why did we go down to 11 to 9 men, or we got the big game coming up on Thursday? If he said that it's over, I'd be like, all right, at least there's a bit of consistency. But the fact that he literally, what was it, back in May, or late April, 5 months ago, the fact that he turned around and said that
we have bigger things to worry about because we need to improve our team.
Worry about our style of football rather than VAR, and yet he sits there and asks for a replay. That to me is where it makes my blood boil that he'll get away with this, and Liverpool fans will somehow defend that as well.
Yeah, and you know, this is one area where, like, when I was a huge I was a acolyte of Antonio Conte when he first came into the team. I thought he was going to do amazing things with us. I thought he was going to be absolutely incredible, and we were going to go on to win things with him. And I was mudded. And as soon as it got to the stage where Conte was overly acting as though he was he came into he's doing the club a favor, and he's throwing all the players under the bus, and he's not accepting responsibility for his tactics, for his methods, for his changes, all this kind of stuff. Like, I'm not going to sit back and go, oh no, Conte's right, when he's behaving like a child, and he turned into this complete emotional, ridiculous, ranty twerp who I wanted out of the club then as soon as possible when he started doing things that he was doing. You need to be able to look at your own manager and call him out for when he's being a wimpy little baby. And the Liverpool fans, if they had any integrity right now, would look at Jurgen Klopp. I mean, they've had plenty of, over the years, like, he's the biggest whinger in the Premier League. He's the biggest whinger in football. He's worse than Mourinho ever was. He's worse than Arteta. He is the single biggest whinge bag in football. And in this particular instance, the hypocrisy is so mighty that, like, regardless of how hard done by Liverpool fans are, they need to call out their manager in this instance and be like,
I agree.
You're a child. We don't stand with the manager on this particular instance because it's going way beyond what is fair and reasonable, and he's being an absolute baby. And, like, Liverpool fans need to have some integrity and call out their manager in this instance.
Will never happen, mate. You know it won't. They'll stand by their guy. They'll find a way to make it about FSG or something. 7_SC has become a YouTube member. Appreciate you, mate. Welcome to the team. Really appreciate your support, as I do all of the members. Right, I want to move on, Adam. Apparently, like I say, it's been dismissed anyway, so let's hope that's the last of it. It won't be. This thing will rumble on. I do want to move on to ask you.
Sorry, Sean. Just to point out, there's someone in the comments saying that wanted to call us out for calling Klopp a liar, because it says, what lies has Klopp told? Explain. The lie that Klopp has told is that none of his players actually touched our players. They were basically just
both of Jota's yellow cards were that there was zero.
Nobody
contact.
touched. Yeah, zero contact, which is absolute. So he's a liar. There's zero contact. Insane. 100%. There was minor connection, but there was connection with Udogie, but obviously with Basuma, he cleaned him out. So what an absolute liar.
Oh no, that was Curtis Jones. Curtis Jones one was the red card with Basuma, but the both of the two yellow cards. The first one, it did. It
was Basuma that
Jota's running behind Basuma. Sorry, Jota's running behind Udogie, and and his knee hits Udogi's foot, which then trips him onto his own leg, which sends him flying. It's obvious. It's like being in a car accident. If you slam your foot on the brakes and the guy behind goes in the back of you, it's still the guy in behind's fault, right? The guy behind is the one who's watching what he's doing.
When Jota got the second yellow, it was Basuma that he took out then as well.
No, I thought it was I thought it was Destiny Udogie second time. Because Destiny Udogie was getting all the racist abuse. I'm pretty sure it was Destiny Udogie, and I think it was. But
maybe it was.
Anyway, let's I want to move on to someone who's also experienced a lot of racist abuse over the last couple of years as a football player, mate. But this is not about that. This is about the look on his face as he substituted. I'm going to put this on a very short little link here, but this is the moment he sits down. We'll watch it kind of reload here in a second. See him sit down. He looks like he's in absolute agony. First and foremost, thoughts on that. Is he playing injured again? Remember, he was playing injured. Well, he said afterwards he was playing injured with a hernia. I think it was a hernia for most of last season. Mm-hmm. Is it a good thing, a bad thing? What do we do for Luton? We've got a break now after Luton for obviously 2 weeks until I think we then play Fulham on the Monday night before Palace away on the following Friday night. So can we get past Luton without needing Sonny? Is Sonny playing injured? Is that for the betterment of the team if he is? I think he's been one of the best strikers in world football this year in terms of his output in the top 5 leagues, in terms of, shot scoring chances or creating chances that, from a shot, whatever that's called, shot chance creation actions. Some statistic. But anyway, he's coming deep. His passing's been up there with the best in the top 5 leagues. He's obviously second best goal scorer in the Premier League right now. He'll be a big miss if the only person we've got to bring in is, because Brennan Johnson will be out for Luton apparently as well. So first and foremost, are you worried by that? By the fact that when he sits down, he looks absolutely exhausted, looks absolutely in agony. How big of a blow will it if we lose him for any extended period of time?
I'm concerned if he's. I mean, he did look like he was really, really in trouble there. I'd be concerned if he was out for a significant amount of time. I'm not concerned if he's out for the Luton game. I don't want to sound like there is no easy game in the Premier League, and I don't want to sound. I don't want to be disparaging, but Luton have won 1 game in their first 7. They're, to be fair to them, like they are going straight back down. At the end of the season, let's be honest, there's no doubt in my mind that they will be in the 20th place by the time the Premier League finishes. This is not a team like Tottenham are second right now, and we could be first if we beat Luton and there's a draw between Arsenal and City, or Arsenal win but we beat Luton by more. We're going number 1. But how many times we beaten big teams the week before and then lost to small teams the week after? I get it, but this is a different Tottenham now. I don't think we've got any right to lose that Luton game. I really don't. I think that's something that we absolutely need to take the bull by the horns and get that sorted. I think that this, if we're going to rest Sonny for any game, let's be fair. If we're going to rest a player, let's say he wasn't injured, but if we were going to rest a player of his caliber for any game, the Luton game is the one to rest him in. And I think that Richarlison has started to show his quality in bits and pieces over the last couple of games. He's really trying to get his head together. He's shaved that stupid blonde hair off, and he's gone, no, look, I need to just gotta be a bit humble and just do the basics and do them right. We know his first touch is awful, but in the last couple of games, it's actually been phenomenal. In certain instances, the passing that he's put on display, he playing off of the left, we didn't think he was capable of doing, and he set up Sonny. He's been a lot better the last couple of games, isn't he?
A
lot better. Yeah. He's been a lot better, and I think that if we're going to see him come in the number 9 and put on a show, now is the time to do it. He needs to show his quality now and give Sonny a rest. And then the only benefit, again, I was only just complaining about the international break, but the benefit of the international break is that it gives Sonny a little bit more time to deal with whatever he's got going on, and hopefully after that, then he'll be back and at his level best. And I just want to say as well, based on what you were saying there on. Like, I want to call out everybody. It annoys the crap out of me. I'm not going to name and shame, but there's a lot of people I'd love to name and shame that were saying that Sonny's done. Sell him now while we can. He's past it. I'm like, are you absolutely mental? So he was going through a rough patch. He was, we found out he was playing injured, but this is Heung-min Son. This guy is now, as you rightly put, he's the top goal scorer in the league at the moment. Last season he was suffering. He scored his 6th goal in the 27th match of the league. This season he scored his 6th goal in the 7th match of the league. This guy is showing his quality. To everybody who was saying that Son is past it, he's done. You come out and admit that you're in the mud, because Sonny is. Well, no, Sonny
I mean, me personally, I was never saying Sonny's done, but I think that
there are other people I know.
I know. I was calling for him to be rested at times, because I think that there was a period. I think that sometimes you need a breather if you're struggling with your form. And I think that last season he did struggle at times. He got better in the second half of the season. Obviously, his numbers caught up a little bit, but first half of the season, I thought
Sonny to be sold. Because anyone calling for Sonny to be sold, were you ever calling for Sonny to be sold? Because anyone calling for him to be sold is absolutely insane.
No, I don't think I ever said sell him. But I think that maybe people posited scenarios where they said, "Oh, if someone comes in for 85 million, what do you do?" On that situation, I'll probably say, well, if the money's right, but I don't know what the right money is for Sonny because of the amount of money he brings in tourism and also in shirt sales and all that stuff. I don't know what the correct money is. I've got no idea on that commercial number. But at some point, I've made a point on my video today. Like, we have to be looking right now for additional width, additional forwards. Well, I think someone asked a question about, where is he? I think I saw it a second ago. Someone was saying, Jota, would you bring Jota in? Obviously, Jota's probably not his best anymore, but he's a free transfer, possibly a free transfer out of Saudi Arabia. That guy, to me, does better on the left than what we probably have in terms of natural Ange Postecoglou style football. He can get to the byline and play the ball back. Played under Ange before, right? Well, obviously, we're looking at the other guy. I think we're looking at the guy Armand Loriente from Sassuolo, who's brilliant at doing similar sorts of things, although he's got more finish. Like those players that are tricky. I gave that Koleosho, that guy, I think he plays for Burnley. I gave him as an example. Like, there's so many players out there that do wonderful, tricky footwork. Brennan Johnson's another one. There's so many people that can do all that stuff. The question mark of whether you're a £20 million player or an £80 million player is what you do at the byline, what you do with the final delivery. And players like Jota know how to get it to the right place. And I don't think you lose that with age. You might lose your pace, but you don't lose your ability to find it. Perisic can still find get to the byline and find the right area to put it into. But I think that Tottenham do lack a little bit of that, especially on the right. If you're going to play Decky, who I don't know whether Decky is being told to use your strength and cut in all the time, or if it's just by design in his mind, he's better and more confident doing that. Because when I've seen him cut to the byline, he's usually really competent with his right foot. I just don't think he likes using it very often. I don't think he trusts it as much as he does his left. But if you want to play Ange ball effectively, part of that model is to, at least on the balance of averages, get yourself to the byline and pull it back, like FIFA settings. That's what people do on FIFA all the time. If you're a new player on FIFA, you get it out wide and then you pull it back, X and then shoot, right? And that's what kind of Postecoglou's system is somewhat kind of based around, but we don't do it enough and we don't execute on it frequently enough when we are doing it. And to me, I know we're getting off the topic of Sonny a little bit here, but so I'm on a bit of a ramble and a rant. Work with me, but I feel like we do need to start to think about options up front. Whether it's, if Sonny is 31, at some point in the next 2 or 3 years, we are going to need to find his successor, like we're still looking for Harry Kane's successor. Whether that's Santiago Jimenez. But if you are going to bring someone in to go in the middle, then maybe you can also use Sonny back out on the width when he's fully fit. But I think we need more options up front. I think we also need an option at the back very, very, very much in January. Yeah. But we can't do it all in one window. And January is traditionally very difficult, right?
Yeah, but I mean, looking at the Luton game though, and dropping Sonny for that, I would like him to be rested. I think don't start him. 100% don't start him. This is Luton. I'm sorry. There are times to rest your best players. Luton is the game to do it. I can see us winning the game, right? By resting Sonny and Maddison. And I know that probably sounds a bit mad, but I mean, Maddison can come on if need. If he's not screwed with injury at the moment and he just needs a bit of a rest, he can come on in the second half. But I can see a game. I can see us winning, playing Solomon, Richarlison, Decky, Lo Celso, Sarr, Basuma. And you still got Paro and Udogie doing their thing coming in. You know,
Lo Celso's injured though.
Is Lo Celso injured?
Yeah, he's out for 2 months.
And have we got is Brian Hill back yet? He's back in training, isn't he?
Yeah, but I don't think he's ready.
If we played him wide,
also out for the time being. So.
Decky has been crying out to be played in the number 10, to be fair to him, right? So if we were able to take it, like again, Luton is the team for us to kind of have a little bit of what can our other players do? Do you know what I mean? This is the time to do it. Do you bring Donnelly in at this point? Do you get Decky to come in and play in the number 10? Or can we get Alfie Devine to come in? This is the game where we can start, where we can think. Okay,
Alfie Devine's away at Port Vale, so he's out. I don't think Donnelly's quite ready.
Donnelly. Yeah, I mean, you got to have. We have to have options. We have to have options. Do you know what I mean? We can't be thinking that we're crippled because we've lost a couple of players. There are options that for us to pursue that. Playing against Luton, this is the time to go. What is our strength and depth like, and give Sonny that bit of a break so that he can come back after the international break and hopefully have reinforced whatever the heck is going on.
Yeah, look, I mean, for me, in terms of the Luton game specifically, obviously we can't do anything unless Jota gets liquidated, his contract torn up by Saudi Arabia. Then he'd be the only person that you could bring in between now and January. I'm going to press pause on what I was going to say because, Adam, on that note, the rules are as such. If a player is on a free transfer, as far as I'm aware, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I'm aware, if a player is given a free transfer, he can sign for other people, for another team during the non-transferable window. And so is there not a massive potential banana skin some point in the future when you've got a team like Newcastle who are owned by the same people, the PIF fund, as 6 of the Saudi Arabian league, who have got more money than they ever going to need, right? So there's no cares about the money situation. If Newcastle or in fact Chelsea, who indirectly are also owned by the PIF fund through a third party in Clearlake Capital, is it not possible to see a scenario where at some point in the future, if there is a massive injury crisis at Chelsea or at Newcastle, where one of those good players that are out in Saudi Arabia that are owned by one of the teams that are owned by the PIF could just tear up the contract of a player, make him a free agent, and then he could, funnily enough, just sign the next day for Newcastle United or Chelsea to fill an injury hole void in their squad rota? Is that not a potential problem that could happen? Maybe not this season, but in the next couple of years.
Yeah, but that's also, you could say the same thing about, like you just said there, that we have that Alfie Devine is off playing for another team. We could rip up that loan and bring him back. Like there's ways that there are different ways that you can. I know Alfie Devine is not an elite player, like playing for a Saudi team, but there are ways of filling in your the gaps as a result of injuries. Tearing up Alfie Devine's contract would be an option for us at this moment. I can see where you're coming from, but like I don't like. Are you suggesting that presents you're suggesting that it presents an unfair advantage for those teams? But
no, I'm sorry. To be honest, I thought that because I thought that you could sign players that are free transfers outside of the transfer window. And I thought you could, because there were still those players that after the window shut, there was still like. But people were sending around going, well, all these players are free transfers. Could we not sign one of these that are older? And I was just thinking...
We need to look at the rules in more detail, because didn't we have an instance last season where we were trying to sign Ben Foster, who was a free agent?
That's what I mean, right?
But we weren't. But they denied it. They denied it, though. We weren't allowed to do it. So, like, the Premier League disallowed it. So, I don't... Like, what is the rule? What is the rule?
That's what I'm saying. People were saying in the comments that you still have to wait until January. I'm going to look into it because I'm not sure about that, but I'm pretty sure that you can sign players. Hang on, you can sign. You can't register. Okay, that's what Drew's saying. Okay. Well, what would be the point of signing someone? I don't know. Okay, well, anyway, I'll assume that I'm wrong on it. It's all good. I'm often wrong.
You could
so
sign
Luton.
They're training with the team early, and then they're ready to hit the ground running once they are registered.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. And then Phil P saying cancelling a contract would be viewed differently to a player that was registered at club for this season. Yeah, probably. You're right. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. All right. Maybe I'm just being too conspiratorial. Probably, maybe it wouldn't happen. I'm sure it would have been spoken about before myself. So I'm going to wrap it up very soon, Adam. Just wanted to go for a quick hour and 15 with you guys, but let's look forward to Luton. I'm going to be at the game. Looking forward to it. I've got a ticket. Very lucky to have managed to be one of the 800 people that have got a ticket for that game. So I will be on the fan. I don't know if I'll do fan cams outside Luton. I'll probably get glassed or something. But in terms of the starting 11, we don't know if Maddison's still carrying or not. I really do think that Sonny's going to be out for this one. So what would be your 11, mate, for starting 11 against Luton? Start with the goalkeeper and work your way through.
Definitely wouldn't start Sonny, given that image. So yeah, Vicario obviously starts. There's no two ways about that. Romero and Mickey, Porro and Udogie. So you've got your that back five picks itself. Basuma Sarr still need to play if we need really top quality players in the midfield if we're gonna risk not having quite a strong front three. If Maddison is able to play, I'd play him. I would play him. He's going to end up playing in the bloody internationals anyway. Do you know what I mean? So like, if we need him. I'd rather he played for us, had a really good game, but then got a knock and wasn't able to play for England. Then him rest for us, so he goes and so that he can be better for England. Like, I'm sorry, play Maddison, and then so that means like you've still Solomon, Richarlison, Decky up front. That would be my
Solomon, Richarlison, Decky, yeah. Okay. And if Maddison isn't injured, you bring Decky into the midfield? Presumably, Lo Celso's definitely out. So who goes and sits in the 10 in a world where Maddison also needs a bit of a breather?
Yeah, it depends on who you're going to bring in. What players are available. If Brian Hill is fit, then I would bring Decky. I'd bring Decky into the 10. I'd play Solomon out on the right and Brian Hill on the left, and let's see them whip some crosses in. We've seen Solomon play on the right and do a really, really solid job. Even though Brian Hill is left-footed, he seems to prefer to be out on the left and cut in than he does to play on the right and take shots. He's not really the player that gets you the goals. He wants to create, so let him whip the balls in from the left-hand side. Again, this is in a situation where we're limited in terms of who we can play. I do think Donnelly is an option, though. I think that we need to start giving some youngsters a chance, and he's on fire at the moment. So that's there is a possibility there. Bring Donnelly in, but Brian Hill is not a bad shout against Luton. Let's be honest. And if he's been training with the team, then there's no reason why he shouldn't be able to show a little bit of something. Like the guy, he's a solid player. He is a solid player, Brian Hill. He hasn't been given a chance under the previous.
I don't know if he's going to be fully fit either. I know he's training. You know what? He'd probably come off the bench, to be honest. Luton Dan, I'm guessing that's on the comment about. Listen, I say it whenever I go to any away game. I always say I don't know if I'm going to do fan cam because I might get glassed. It's a thing I say every time. Nothing about Luton specifically. Don't take offense, mate. To me, mate, I feel like it's a. There you go. See, wouldn't be a match day without being threatened by physical fire. 100%, Phil. Good to see you, mate. Good to see you. Son has to play, says Ronnie. I don't know, mate. But look, I don't think Sonny does. The worst thing you want to do is be big in small things and put him out there. I think you might end up. I don't think it's going to be easy at all against Luton, by the way. I know Luton are probably like one of the teams that you think you should be able to beat, but
there's no easy game in the Premier League. Like we shouldn't.
No easy game in the
for granted. But you have to be willing to rest players somewhere. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't rest Sonny against Man City. You don't rest Sonny against Arsenal. There are no easy Premier League games. You don't take anything for granted. But if you're going to rest him against Luton. You know what I mean? Like that. It is what it is.
Would you? Here we go. Phil P saying Porro wide right, Chicken Royale right back, Kulu in the 10. That's actually probably a really smart idea. Actually, Phil, completely forgot about that one.
Yeah.
If in a world where Brian Hill's not ready, Maddison and Sonny both need to be rested because they just need a breather. Then without Perisic as well and without Brennan Johnson, you don't really have that many other options, do you? So you're going to need to bring it up, and then you just hope that they're going to get through the game unscathed. We have got a little bit of a crisis emerging with potential niggling injuries and exhaustion or whatever up top. That's why we need to definitely go and get some reinforcements in January. See where we are. Mate, Adam, wonderful to see you, my man. Really appreciate you coming on. Just wanted to do a quick hour and 15, talk mainly about the joke that is Jurgen Klopp. We will be doing a bigger Luton breakdown show some point tomorrow or Friday before the game, so keep a lookout for that. Guys, I want to say a massive thank you. Please hit the subscribe button and the like button if you haven't already. Adam, where can people find you, mate?
So I am going to have a much stronger social media presence in the coming weeks as I am starting to promote my new material and get my first feature film out to an Irish audience. So I'm kind of holding off on promotions with that because I didn't want to upset my Irish audience. But we're going to be out. We're going to be releasing in Ireland on Apple TV very soon. So check us out on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube at Wild Stag Media. And I will be putting a lot of stuff up soon. You'll be able to see, if you're interested in movies at all, I know it's not Tottenham, but if you're interested in movies at all and you want to see what I'm doing in my personal time, then there'll be lots of behind the scenes stuff going up. There'll be lots of interviews and clips from the films and stuff like that. You can see a lot of what I'm up to. So yeah, I would really appreciate anybody giving us a follow on all the different social medias, whatever, choose your favorite, choose them all, whatever you want to do. And there'll be a lot of really, really interesting stuff going up in terms of my passion outside of football. Where the football is concerned, Sean, thanks for having me back on. I love obviously coming on your show. I'm sorry to have missed it for so long, but
many more, mate.
Yeah, and look, I'm editing my film in my own pace, in my own time over the next few months now, between now and Christmas. So I will have plenty of time to get back on the streams, get back on the channel. So whenever you want me on, I will be here, and I look forward to chatting more about this incredible Tottenham team we've got at the moment. Yeah,
we'll do one before Friday, before Saturday, if possible. Right, guys, love you and leave you. Thanks for stopping by. Thank you to everyone with the super chats. Make sure you get over to Wild Stag Media for Adam. Big shout out to Chankle, to On Your Bike Scott, to Martin, to Chankle again, to Seven, the new member, and to all of the member for 1 month, member for 15 months, Moondoggy, Drew Zilla as well, for Mia, and also for Bobby. I didn't see you there, Bobby. Big up, Shawnee, Adam, and everyone in the chat. Big up to you, my man. I hope you're doing really well. Thank you again for your ongoing support of the channel as well, mate. 13 months, that's great. I think that's pretty much since the start of I do it, mate. You're one of my day ones in the loyalty program. I love that.
OGs.
OG Bobby K. Right, guys, I'll leave you in the capable hands of wherever you want to go next to stay out of trouble, you lot. And I'll see you. I've got another video dropping this evening. So if you want to watch that, then watch that.
Nice.
Content's coming thick and fast. As always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.